In this podcast episode, Aubrey Marcus engages in an expansive and intense conversation with Dr. John Demartini about morality, the nature of good and evil, human behavior, and how belief systems shape our realities. Their dialogue spans topics including moral relativism, situational ethics, agency, the psychology behind reprehensible acts, and the potential for transformation through perspective shifts. Throughout, Dr. Demartini challenges traditional dichotomies of good and evil, urging a deeper exploration beyond black and white moral judgments toward embracing complexity, duality, and the synthesis of opposites. Dr. Demartini discusses the concept that good and evil are human labels imposed on events or behaviors based on perspective and cultural context. He argues that actions and phenomena are essentially events without inherent moral value until interpreted through individual or societal lenses. This perspective rejects the existence of absolute evil, positing instead a unity of opposites where everything contains both positive and negative aspects. He references historical and philosophical ideas, such as Heraclitus's notion of a hidden order within apparent chaos, and stresses the importance of recognizing that both sides of any moral polarity exist simultaneously. The conversation touches on moral relativism, emphasizing that concepts of right and wrong vary widely across cultures and epochs. For example, practices like child marriage or slavery, once culturally accepted, are now broadly condemned, highlighting how moral frameworks evolve and differ. Dr. Demartini explains that moral responses often originate from primitive brain functions, such as the amygdala's quick assignment of valence to stimuli, which later can be refined through higher cortical processes, leading to more nuanced situational ethics. Morality, in this view, is not static, but adaptive, shaped by complexity and context rather than fixed absolutes. A significant theme is the unity of opposites, reflected in concepts such as the yin and yang, or Aristotle's golden mean. Dr. Demartini portrays life as an interplay of polarities, good and bad, life and death, love and conflict, that must both be acknowledged for authentic understanding. He asserts that attempts to eliminate one side of a polarity only strengthen its opposite and create dysfunction. Recognizing and integrating these opposites leads to higher awareness and balance, enabling individuals to navigate their realities with greater wisdom and flexibility. The discussion explores how individuals act in morally challenging situations. Dr. Demartini emphasizes that people respond in accordance with their values, perceptions, and situational context, rather than following predetermined moral codes. Personal agency is limited by unconscious impulses as well as conscious choices. Actions such as defending a loved one from harm are understood within situational ethics, where an act seen as killing may simultaneously be protecting, depending on perspective. Hypothetical examples, including a case of a knife attack on a train, illustrate how different people may react divergently based on their experiences and value systems. A key component of the dialogue is the power of perception in shaping the meaning of events. Dr. Demartini relates that trauma and suffering often become lifelong prisons when individuals see these experiences only through the lens of victimhood and evil. By contrast, reframing and uncovering blessings or lessons within adversity can liberate individuals and transform their lives. He recounts numerous cases where people, including victims of extreme trauma like assault or abuse, found personal growth and empowerment by discovering benefits and meaning in their hardships. This shift from judgment to inquiry is crucial in transcending limiting beliefs. Dr. Demartini discusses his extensive work with people who have suffered traumas, including abuse and pedophilia, underlining that simplistic moral condemnation often traps victims in perpetual suffering. Instead, he promotes deep exploration of the causes and patterns that underlie behaviors on both sides, including perpetrators. Through questioning and personal accountability, individuals can neutralize judgment and release resentment, developing compassion and agency. This approach focuses on healing wounds rather than perpetuating cycles of blame and victimization. The conversation challenges the notion of fixed universal ethics. Dr. Demartini recounts examples of culturally ingrained behaviors once considered acceptable but now abhorrent in many societies, illustrating the pitfalls of absolutism. He critiques black and white morality for its potential to polarize and perpetuate conflict by encouraging rigid right versus wrong mentalities. Instead, he proposes a dialectical method, engaging with opposing views to discover synthesis and mutual understanding over adversarial debate. While Aubrey Marcus poses several hypothetical moral dilemmas to probe Dr. Demartini's worldview, John warns that hypotheticals often oversimplify complex human behavior and ignore the multifaceted realities people face. Actual decisions emerge from real-time perceptions, values, and survival strategies, which cannot be fully anticipated or morally pre-interpreted from the outside. This critique invites caution when using hypotheticals to justify moral positions without considering real-world complexities. The podcast touches on the neurobiology underpinning moral judgment, specifically the role of the amygdala and higher brain centers. The amygdala facilitates rapid, emotionally charged valence judgments, fear, attraction, anger, often leading to impulsive moral labeling of events as good or bad. Progression toward more mature morality involves engaging higher cortical regions capable of objective and situational analysis, thereby supporting flexible and context-sensitive ethical reasoning. Morality evolves as the brain integrates emotional and rational processing. Dr. Demartini reflects on religious texts and traditions, including Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, noting how interpretations vary widely, even within the same sacred texts. He highlights that religious dogma often represents human attempts to frame moral order, but these frameworks are neither universally consistent nor definitively sacred. He points to historical examples, such as missing gospels or altered scriptures, to underscore the constructed and evolving nature of religious moral codes. An illustrative story from a mediation involving Israeli and Palestinian representatives demonstrates the healing potential of dialectic, genuinely exploring both sides of conflict and recognizing shared humanity. By mutual acknowledgement of flaws and virtues, rigid conceptions of evil and righteousness soften, enabling dialogue and reconciliation. This approach embodies compassion as not naivete, but as a courageous act of embracing complexity and paradox. Throughout the dialogue, the importance of individual empowerment and personal agency emerges as central. Dr. Demartini insists that neither divine forces nor external authorities determine one's values or actions. Rather, people must consciously choose their attitudes and responses. This entails transcending victimhood and moral absolutism to actively participate in shaping one's reality based on comprehensive awareness and responsibility. Both hosts agree on the multifaceted nature of human beings who embody contradictory and complementary traits. Dr. Demartini asserts that no individual is purely good or evil. Everyone possesses a spectrum of qualities that manifest differently depending on internal and external factors. Acceptance of this complexity counters simplistic moral binaries and encourages a more integrative, honest understanding of oneself and others. The dialogue critiques the illusion of achieving lasting social harmony by suppressing or denying darker human tendencies. Instead, repression often leads to their expression elsewhere, sometimes in more extreme ways. Recognizing the dynamic balance between opposing forces is essential to maintaining societal equilibrium and authentic individual growth. Any attempt to enforce unilateral moral standards risks entrenching divisions and conflicts. The discussion broadens to consider life and death as natural, interrelated processes rather than moral absolutes. Using biological and evolutionary examples such as mitosis and apoptosis, Dr. Demartini illustrates that creation and destruction coexist as essential functions of living systems. Death is neither inherently evil nor life purely good. Both carry benefits and drawbacks, forming an ongoing cycle of transformation. Dr. Demartini references universal laws like the conservation of energy and causality, emphasizing the limits of human understanding in fully comprehending causes and effects. He contends that rather than seeking definitive moral labels or purposes, individuals gain wisdom by embracing mystery and extracting meaning through inquiry and awareness. This process is a key aspect of spiritual awakening and mindful living. Throughout the conversation, Dr. Demartini underscores that the quality of one's life corresponds to the quality of questions one asks. Conscious questioning shifts people from unconscious reactive states toward intentional, mindful engagement with existence. By investigating the benefits and downsides of experiences simultaneously, individuals develop a more comprehensive and integrated worldview. Dr. Demartini connects morality to brain evolution and social development, highlighting how ethical norms shift with increased cognitive capacity and cultural complexity. Early binary notions of reward and punishment give way to sophisticated situational ethics and universal principles. Human morality is a dynamic process shaped by biology, environment, history, and individual growth. The episode includes poignant personal and factual stories illustrating themes of trauma, transformation, and resilience. Cases ranging from child abuse recovery to loss and family reconciliation reveal how shifting perceptions and embracing both sides of difficult experiences can lead to healing, empowerment, and even leadership. These narratives affirm a central message that events themselves are not fixed as good or evil, but are open to reframing and personal meaning-making. Throughout the discourse, spiritual concepts and traditions, such as the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono, Christian forgiveness, and Taoist duality, are invoked to illustrate the power of self-reflection and inner reconciliation. These traditions encourage recognizing the inherent wholeness within apparent opposition, fostering compassion and healing beyond rigid moral judgments. The hosts acknowledge the difficulty of maintaining open dialogue in an era marked by polarized opinions and entrenched belief systems. They advocate for respectful conversation that embraces complexity rather than shuns dissenting views. Such engagement can create space for deeper understanding, societal progress, and individual freedom. A recurring theme is the recognition that language and conceptual frameworks are inherently limited tools attempting to represent reality's complexity. Terms like good, evil, right, and wrong are anthropomorphic constructs that simplify nuanced phenomena. Deep awareness involves holding paradox and uncertainty, approaching knowledge as evolving rather than absolute. Finally, the dialogue emphasizes that authentic empowerment arises not from denying one's darker aspects, but from integrating and mastering the full spectrum of human experience. Genuine love, growth, and maturity depend on acknowledging all dimensions of self and others, embracing the dance of opposites as the substrate for wholeness and meaningful existence.